The following is our safety video for the table saw. Please watch carefully. First, make sure that the saw blade is sharp and in good condition. Make sure that the teeth of the saw blade are facing towards the infeed side of the table. Always disconnect the power of the saw before making any major adjustments. Use the riving knife and the blade guard and other safety devices whenever it is practical and correct to use them. Turn off the saw and wait until it completely stopped before making any minor adjustments, including moving the fence. The blade should be set at 1/4 inch above the material being cut. When the rip fence is used as a guide, be sure it is locked in place before you start the cut. Always use a push stick when making a narrow cut. Finish the cut by cutting right through to the very end. Never stop in the middle of a cut. And always hold the material firmly against the table and tight against the fence when making a cut. Be certain that the miter gauge travels freely in its groove before using this device. Never use the rip fence as a guide when you cut across the width of the material. Use the miter gauge as a guide when cross-cutting. Here we see the proper way to cross-cut a board using a miter gauge. All wood must be in good condition, with no defects or hardware in it. The wood must be straight. Do not cut warped material on the table saw. And never cut rough lumber on the table saw.
Go ahead.
Never cut freehand on the table saw. And never cut round or cylindrical material without the teacher's permission. To avoid kickback, do not stand directly behind the material or the saw blade. It is best to stand slightly off to the side and as close to the saw as possible. Keep your hands and arms away from the blade and avoid reaching over the top of the blade when making your cut or finishing the cut. Use a long piece of scrap or a push stick to clear scraps from around the blade. Always get the teacher's permission before using any special setups or resawing material. Do not start the cut until the saw has come up to full speed. But most importantly, give your full attention to the cut that you are making.